On Thursdays, Bogart Radio talks business, where you can hear the best entrepreneurs chat freely, openly, and honestly, offering their wealth of industry and life experience. My name is Christopher Augustine, and I'm an entrepreneur. And welcome to my show called The Climb, where we unpack every step of the climb. In the next hour, we're going to be chatting to Anthony and Sandra Augustine, my parents. So, this is a very, very special show to me, where they check us through every step of the climb. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You guys can get a little bit closer to the mic. Briefly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, fantastic. So, I know everything about you guys, but there's so much of knowledge and wealth of experience that we can unpack to our listeners today. So, take me through, how did it all start? As a child, both of you guys have different experiences and different things. And Dad, I'll actually start with you. How did it all start from a young age? Did you always know you wanted to become an entrepreneur? Take me through your childhood a little bit.
Greeting to everyone. As a child, we grew up, I came from a very large family where 11 kids. So at a young age, I knew that we had to survive. We were born in a very poor family. And, looking at the number of children and the wage that my dad earned, we, at a young age now, we need to do what we had to do. So at the age of 10, I started working at the markets, selling veggies, and still going to school at the same time. So from the age of 10, basically, I knew that it was all about survival.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I matriculated, and then I decided to get some worldly experience by first finding a job and seeing what the outside world looks like.
So, at that point, like you in the market and, selling and wheeling and dealing, how did that feel like? And how old were you at that point?
I started at 10.
So you were 10 years old. So being 10 and surrounded by adults and stuff like that, how was that experience? Because when you're 10, you have no experience.
But I started off working for a boss. And from there, I gained experience. And from experience, and at the age of 16, I opened my own business. And then from there, it's employed more people, and that's how business started.
Okay, so that's a key point on a start on, right? So 16 years old, you open your own business. What was that business?
Same, selling vegetables, fruit and veg.
Okay, so you learned what you needed to learn from the age of 10. 5 years passed, and 16, you had enough capital to start your own business.
Definitely.
Okay,
Definitely.
fantastic. And Mom, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on the show.
So how was it your childhood and coming up from your beginnings, and how did that look like?
That too was a climb.
Mm-hmm.
I also was partly doing what Dad was doing, but we were not aware that we were doing the same thing. I lived on a farm and we farmed veggies. So I also was involved in selling all the fresh things that we had in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
And I too, in a way, was a little bit doing business in my own little way. Didn't know that at that time. For me,
Yeah.
it was about surviving, as Dad mentioned. But then, throughout that all, I think God had a plan, a great plan for us. We didn't know that
Mm-hmm.
at that time.
And then so you did it out of survival, but it never materialized into something like your own business
No,
or
not
anything
really.
like that. It was just something to survive. So then let's fast track, and you both met, right? And had 3 children, obviously the best one, me, and then it is what I'm just
The only one, the only son. Thank
so
God.
then fast track and you come together, and then at that point, Dad, you have a job and you're working now for someone. So we just need to get to the part where you started your first real business. So what year was that? What made you take that leap of faith, and how did that climb look like?
Well, owning my stall at the market, I had to make a decision whether I want to make that my future and then it'll become my children's future, or pack up that and go and get a real job, work for a boss, and gain other experience, gain sort of different experience. So I had to make a decision, a choice, either to carry on or try and live a better life, because I know if I stuck in that market business, that would have been my life forever. That would have been like a career or something. So I wouldn't have ventured into new fields. So I made that decision, and based on that decision, I went looking for a job, because when those days when you had matric, you thought you had everything, but when you went out to look for a job,
They wanted more.
the salaries that they were offering you, you couldn't believe that you studied for all these years to earn basically like peanuts. But we started there, and from there, with experience, grew and gained experience. And
So you left the selling in the market, and then which industry after that, like, did you get a chance to get into?
I got into the parts business. I used to do the parts for Honda motorbikes, all your water pumps, your generators. So we started from there, and I excelled in my job. I was given a better position, and after that, I was a sought out person because of my knowledge, and I became popular with the customers. And then I was offered a big position with another company, which I went for. And then from there, we went into different, but it was mainly to do with parts. That's where it started all. Then from there, I went to transport.
Okay, so it was always like logistics, fields, parts, transport, and you focused on that.
That's what I focused on.
That's what you focused on. So I know in my career, focusing has been difficult because I'm here, there, and everywhere, still trying to find my feet. But so the first tip that we can give our listeners today is focus. If you want to do something in life, focus on that one thing. Do it every day until you have some level of success. So another question that I have is, what did you study to enable you to, mentally be ready for the logistics industry, or did it just something that you learned through experience and excelled in it?
No, it's through experience, and then then to be passionate about what you're doing. So being passionate is loving what you're doing, enjoying what you're doing. When you get up in the morning, you must be excited that you're going to this job. It's not boring. And then once you start enjoying working, your passion grows. And then with your passion grows, and then you find that you just enjoy what you're doing, and then you want to do more, and excel in the field. But most people do it for a job. They do it for just for payday. I did it for basically to excel and learn more about other products, and that's all I can say. You've got to be passionate.
And now, where did the shift come in from? Okay, I've worked for bosses, I've been in the logistics space, I understand it, I know it. It's time to start my own thing. I want to start my own business. I want to take another climb, a bigger climb, a risk. You have 3 kids, you have a house, you've got responsibilities. Business is a gamble. You don't know if it's going to work or not going to work. So what was the tipping point for you to leave a comfortable safety net where you're earning a salary every month to go on and open this business?
Well, I discussed it with Mom, and I told her, working for a boss, we're not going to get anywhere in life. We'll always be where we are, renting. We won't be able to buy property. So then I took a chance. We both discussed it. It was just not my decision. I came home one day. I decided no. I said, I think I can do this on my own now. I have enough experience. I built up a clientele base outside the work atmosphere. And then I started off with a very small capital, which I had. The banks didn't want to lend us any money towards our business.
So can I say one of the value things that you had and you built up while in that industry was your network?
Java
So you-
network.
So you made sure that your name was well known in the industry, so that you don't go knocking on doors for business. That people will say, "Hey, listen, can you service us because we know you're good. You're the best in what you do."
No, you see, the thing is when people, what people want, but when they come to your counter, you got to give them the best. They are king because they are putting the money into your pocket.
Hmm.
So you got to treat them well. You got to treat them with respect, and then you also got to thank them for the support. And then name spreads. You'll find that friend will tell another friend. You go to the certain company, you go to see a certain person. He knows his
service is
job,
like this, the
services,
prices,
price, and he can do all those things. So when I left my last job, which was many years ago, my boss actually kept me on for 4 months after I resigned,
Hmm.
thinking that I would change my mind. And every month he'll come and tell me, please, I need one more month of your time. And I'll tell him, I've been here 3 months, past my resignation period. It can just one more month. I said, okay, let this be the last month. So I worked that last month. It was the 28th of February. It was 2008 that I walked out of that company. And then I started the business that we're currently running from the 1st of March 2008 up until today.
Okay, and what's the name of this company?
Company name is Reef Tainer.
Reef Tennis. So, Mom, so he had this conversation with you, right? So take me through that conversation that you guys had. Now, and the reason that I also, want to have you on the show, it's not easy being a partner to an entrepreneur. It's not easy being the backbone, the prayer warrior, the support system, because there's a lot of emotions when it comes to entrepreneurship. Like, oh my God, our client's going to pay. Aren't they going to pay? Someone, took us for a ride. What we're going to, it's a lot of things going on. So when you had that conversation, what was your response? What was your thought process? What positioning were you at that moment?
I don't think it was. Whatever Dad wanted to do at that point, I said, listen, I need to support him. Because I think, especially when it comes to a husband and a wife, it's like a partnership already.
Yeah.
So when we decided, we didn't have a lot of money at that time, and whatever we had, the little savings in the bank, Dad said, listen, that's all I have, and let's take this chance and let's do this. And I said, let's do it.
Yeah.
So I prayed about that, and we got started, and it was, look, we didn't have a premises or anything at that time.
So where did it all start?
It all started in our living room.
That is such
A living
humble.
room and 3 children and both of us together in this. And I just told Dad, listen, whatever I need to do, if I need to load up and offload, I'll do that. If I need to go to the bank and do whatever I need to do, if I needed to sit in whatever it is, I'm in it with you. We're in it now to just make it happen for us as a family. So we started that journey not knowing what it's going to bring, but with God beside us, we took that risk, and I'm not sorry we did. That little bit that we had grew, and today I thank God that we're in a very good space in the company, and all around we're in a good space.
So Reef Tennis started selling spares specifically. So you started in Johannesburg, in your living room, in the garage, then it expanded and expanded. So the expansion started where you started doing more line items or hiring more. So how did you, in your mind, because some people get very comfortable with what they have. Once you have enough, you're comfortable. But that I know you, and you always want more, and you want the best, and you're pushing for the best. So how did you actually calculate your growth and say, okay, I'm going to buy another property, I'm going to go to Messina, I'm going to expand here, I'm going to do this? Like, what really motivated you or strategically, positioned you to grow?
Well, answering that question, it's a very, very good question. I actually started off many years, I think in the year 1978. I started off in the transport industry. And when I started off in the transport industry, I broke away from the parts occupation. I went into transport, And in transport, I started there as a clerk. Then I was an import, so I used to do the imports and the exports. I used to handle all the export clients. I was also involved in the workshop. I tried to get the mechanics to get our trucks out of the work. We had loads planned for them, and we would see which one we can get out quicker, which one's got the least problems, and then basically working with the customers, the loading and all that, loading points and whatnot. So it was a drive. It was not easy because sometimes you get difficult people that you work with, and you got to overcome it because you can't go there. You can't go to work and be a crybaby. You got to come and see.
And transport is fast paced.
At fast pace, it's moving all the time. So based on my transport background, being in the workshop for so many years, working with the mechanics, knowing the parts. So basically, I know where the part goes, basically how they put it, and all that kind of stuff. So when we started with Reef Tainer actually started off as a transport company in 1993, 1st of September. Then from there, we tried it, ran well for many, many years. And then we decided, no, we need to break away from the transport industry and just look at something that's not going to be cost, because with transport, it's a diesel, it's drivers.
It's a lot of overheads.
It's toll roads, all this kind of stuff. So we said, okay, let's get into something that where it doesn't rot. You get stock, you keep your stock, and then you add on your margin.
And it's something that you know.
And something that you know. And it's like being in my blood, but even that too, because of being in transport, you know a lot of people. You're connected with transporters, drivers, and whatnot. So when we opened Reef Tainer on the spare side in 2008, and because I'm quite used to, and I'm the areas like the other countries I've visited with my transport companies that I worked for. So I was used to like Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Malawi, Congo. So I knew the areas, I knew where the need was and what goes on. So when Reef Tainer started in Joburg, then my eyes were on Messina. So I said, that used to be my problem areas when I worked as...
you couldn't get spares in that area.
And you couldn't get mechanics. Then you get ripped off by, part fitters. And then...
Is that a genuine part or something like that?
And mechanics that are fitting it, they're not qualified or...
But when you took that leap now to get to, I know from the garage to Benoni, Princess Avenue, did you have the money to buy that property, or again was that another leap of faith, or was that another chance that you've taken, or did you have complete money and said, okay, cool, I've got money, let me do this move?
No, we didn't have money. From the house to Princess Avenue, we didn't have money. And we know one bank turned us down. It was a small loan. That bank turned us down, another bank approved it, and then we started to build. Basically, it was a burnt house that we bought in a business area, and from there we built the place, we started, and a year later our eyes were on Messina.
And then moving to Messina now, again, did you have money to open up that branch, or was it again another leap of faith?
Another leap of faith.
So I mean, going through the climb, it was like a lot of chances and a lot of, I mean, it could have not worked out, it could have worked out, but I mean, a lot of things was taken through chance and prayer and faith and just going for it, because you obviously identified a need in the market. Like, there's no spares there's no genuine parts, there's people that you need to serve there, you know, and make some good cash out of it.
Yeah, and then we bought the piece of ground, we built the building slowly. We own the building today, and we are blessing. We are blessing to the Zimbabweans and all the transporters that pass the Beitbridge border post. So from there we bought another warehouse because we outgrew the first warehouse. So we built another warehouse. So we got actually two warehouses at Messina. So It was growth. It was just called prayers. We pray lots of prayers, and then the drive as well. The drive, the passion. To get better. I mean, to be better, not to be the best, and it's not to be in competition with anyone. It's to work. Every one that's in the industry, basically, we don't we don't treat them as opposition. We treat them as partners.
So you work with
We
them
work with
to
them.
serve customers better. I want to ask one last question before we take a break. So you mentioned motivation. What motivates you every single morning to get up and to hit the ground running with such fire and such determination? Because the truth is you have everything, but you still keep on keeping on. Why?
It's my passion. My passion. I think when the passion dies, maybe I will change. But as long as I have the passion, I have the drive. And the staff that work with me, they also have the same passion. They have the passion. And then it's about delegating and making leaders. So we've created in our company where people are just not mere workers. They basically, we teach them how to lead. We teach them how to get involved, how to manage. So it's not too much on your shoulder. A lot of people, just like to just pass things around. I like to give those things back to them. So I don't take on job.
So it's all also about people development and upskilling people.
Yes.
So we're going to take this break, but when we come back, we're going to speak more about being a parent, being a dad, being a mom, and how does that all impact daily lives and still running this big business. More when you come back with The Climb. And welcome back to The Climb, where we speak to entrepreneurs about their success and every step of the climb. And today we are joined by my dad, Anthony Augustine, and my mum, Sandra Augustine, talking about their climb to success and the hard days, the bad days, the sad days, and everything in between when it comes to the climb. Because no one really who is an entrepreneur can say that every day has been sunshine and blue skies. So right now in the second segment, we want to speak about, how do you juggle being an entrepreneur? Because an entrepreneur is not an 8 to 5 job. It doesn't mean when the clock strikes 5 that it's time to go home. You are the boss. Every single thing that lands on your table, you have to sort out whether it's, and I remember that we used to do call outs or 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night when a customer calls you. How do you manage being an entrepreneur at that level and also being a good partner, being a good parent, being a good brother, being all of those things, and that responsibility is on you? How do you handle that, or do you get into trouble sometimes for overdoing it at work? How do you manage the personal and business life?
I think that's a very, very good question. Company time is company time. When you leave home in the morning and when you go to work, that's work. But when you come home, you're coming to your family, you come to your home, and you don't discuss business. So I've learned now to switch off.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm leaving, we'll discuss everything about the house while we have breakfast, Mom and I. And when I leave, it's about retainers time because retainer pays me a salary.
Mm-hmm.
Takes very good care of me. I mean, provides me with vehicles, and which gives me a good standard of living,
Mm-hmm.
which I wouldn't have had, working for a boss. But business, we don't talk business at home, basically at all. If I'm questioned about maybe one or two things, but mommy, what she's done is she doesn't get involved. Like when after 5 now, picking on this or that about business. Now it's my time to relax and be relaxed.
So you separate your business time and your work time. And mom, from your side, in terms of asking those things and stuff, do you want to know about the business, or do you kind of take a step back and say, okay, cool, he knows what he's doing, let me put it into his hands and let him run with it? Or you know, like where's the line, if I can say that?
At first, I think we used to because we were like
Working
a lot
together.
into it, so we used to discuss this a lot because it was a baby at that
Yeah.
time, and we both needed to care for that. But as the business started to grow and thrive, and when it was walking on its own sort of, then I quietly stepped back because I could see that Daddy is doing a fine job. He knows what he's doing.
Hire the right people.
He hired the right people. He were training them to do the job so that he didn't have his plate full, and that we could spend some family time as well. And that's what it was. It wasn't like me questioning him about everything because as long as he knew what he was doing and I could see that it was thriving,
You could see the progress.
I could see that there was no need for me to.
Yeah, just most of the people they don't know how to separate time. You know, like when you're on holiday, you're on holiday. You know, then you figure about you leave responsible people, managers in place, and they sort of like handle the issues, the finance departments, and when it comes to your anything to do with your VAT, your SARS, your whatever, we have a group of accountants. We send it to them. We don't get involved.
So when you first started, and this is an important question, right? And a lot of young entrepreneurs will benefit from this. When you first start, you don't really have capital.
No.
For an accountant, for a legal team, for a finance team, for a marketing team. I mean, it's expensive. But in terms of like doing your accounting, so when you started off in 2008 again, did you have an accountant from the get-go, or did you do it yourself?
No, initially I did it myself because I did 2 years of a diploma in commerce. So I had a basic, a very good understanding about how the accounting world operates, and expenses and petty cash, and how to keep records. So what I've learned is record keeping, which a lot of people don't do record keeping. I try to write down everything. I make notes, and I make sure I balance. So if there was a taking for so much was expenses, and this is what you should have, and it must balance. So if it doesn't balance, there's something wrong. So basically, I'm very, very, like, on the finance side, I hold a very, very strong hand. I watch what money goes through, what money is spent on, no unnecessary expenses. The company must not incur unnecessary expenses. Like my habits, I pay for my habits. I don't let the company pay for my habits. When I have a beer, I pay for the beer because the company doesn't have that in expense. So we've got to just look at people just tend to wildly spend money, company money, and company money. We must make it. I want to make this point clear that when you have a company, all that money is not yours. It belongs to the company. The company gives you a salary, and off that salary, you got to make your ends meet and live off it. So you just can't just go anywhere and just start swiping your company's this thing, because the company's got workers to pay for, they've got salaries, wages, they've got
They have its own
utilities,
costs.
they've got the own costs. And then now you're sitting in a casino and you gambling 100,000 rand. Company is not going to last.
And a lot of entrepreneurs sunk their businesses because of indulging in things like that and thinking company money is theirs. So your tip is draw a salary, live off your salary, and you working for the company.
Yeah, but I'm basically, although I'm the owner, I'm actually also an employee. I get a salary, I pay PAYE, I pay UIF like everyone else. And on that salary, I budget. And if mommy wants something from me, I tell her I don't have the money.
You've got to save up for it.
I'll save up for it. When I'm ready, if she wants the bathroom done, I'll tell her, okay, give me so many months. They'll tell you, okay, I've got the cash for it, you go do it, but it doesn't come off the company.
So you have the money in the company, but you still operate with your own capacity.
Yeah. The company is separate. It operates.
And you separate.
And I'm separate. I'm separate from the company. So we talk about two different entities here. We talk about the business, and then you're talking about me as a private individual. So I don't I don't say, okay, I just want to go to petty cash and take money and whatnot. Even if I go for lunches, I try to save the company on money.
And you fit the bill.
I fit the bill.
And I also know, like in because I mean I know the company, right? I worked there also for a little bit. How do you deal with when the company takes a knock? You know, just say some X amount of stock went missing, something happened. Because not in entrepreneurship, not every day is sunshine and rainbows. There's also difficulties within the company because of ABCD. So when you experience like a massive loss or a massive thing that you need to recover from, what's the first thing that goes through your mind? Because we all are human, right? We don't have the answers exactly, but how do you recover from something like that?
Well, it's happened. You need to find a fixture. You need to find a way to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't now get depressed, and you need to from that position that you are in. You got to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find a way now how I'm going to move from there forward, and then we find a solution. When we find a solution, and if the company needs funding, I have funding as well of my own. I will loan the company my funds. We try to keep away as much as possible from the banks, because the bank charges and the interest is very, very high.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look at your profit margin, what you're paying the banks, you're actually working for the banks. So we do, I mean, but every company, and even our company, we leave room for shrinkage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we leave room for at least
For losses or-
losses, 10, 15%. We allow for shrinkage, you know, over, you know, in whatever period you look
Okay.
at it, yeah.
Okay, so basically, it's about upskilling yourself and making sure you have some sort of knowledge about the commerce, like your VAT, your tax, your PAYE, your UIF, because you are an entrepreneur. At the end of the day, it falls on you.
Yes.
And then the second thing is leave some room for what if. You know, what if we lose stock? What if we do this? What if the driver is in an accident? What if we need to pay off this, that? So always leave some sort of cash in the kitty. So if something goes wrong, you have that cash to.
Yes, yes. So basically what we do, we have an investment that all the branches invest into an investment that is for the rainy day. So when the company goes into a little bit of difficulty, then we go into
Your savings.
we go into our savings, and we put it into the business. And when the business starts recovering, then we put the money back into the investment.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes again, and it's just juggling. It's all the time. It's just.
So how did COVID affect Reef Tainer? Like, I mean, it affected a lot of businesses. Some businesses didn't survive. Some businesses had to close. Some businesses thrived in COVID because they were essential services. What impact did that have on Reef Tainer?
Well, it did have an impact, because remember that having a business at a border town and not having people coming across, it was hard.
Mm-hmm.
But through that hardship, we made sure that all our staff members, we kept them. Those that had COVID, we had private doctors attending to them. We had meals, we had fruit, vegetables delivered to their doors to make sure that they're healthy. Some of them groceries, some of them couldn't come to work. And same thing in the kitty. We had a fund.
Mm-hmm.
We call that our emergency fund.
Mm-hmm.
So in the case of that, where we can carry them through and not touch their salaries, so each one was paid in full during
Sure.
COVID.
A lot of businesses couldn't do that. They couldn't afford that, or they just didn't want to.
No, because you got to do proper planning. You must make provisions for a rainy day.
Mm-hmm.
Now everyone has a rainy day.
Yeah.
So, but if you don't make provision for a rainy day, so when the rain comes, then you suffer. You just, you know, and even in COVID, I think it was COVID started in March. We even gave them increases, which most companies, and we even gave bonuses out during COVID. So, I mean, the staff, they're very happy, working for the company.
So in COVID, you kind of took the knock and made sure that your people were taken care of.
They were taken care of, and we made sure that they're private doctors, not going to clinics or government hospital. We had private doctors attending to them, and which the company paid for. It was built to the company, and the company made sure they were.
I mean, this is also one of the key success elements within the business, where you're taking care of your staff, and they'll take care of you, and they'll take care of the business. So I think I think even Jeff Bezos says that the most important is not the customer; it's how you treat your employees. And if you treat your employees with that kind of kindness and love, and they'll always feel like this is home. This is something that I need to protect. So obviously, it's so many years that has passed. What has been some of the highlights of running a business for you?
My highlight is the achievements. Yeah. I mean, sometimes when I look, and I go and look at the buildings that I've, like especially in Messina, though, the first major warehouse I built, sometimes I walk around it and I say, did I really build this? I drew the plan and I was there with the builders building it. Did I really build it? Oh. And it's 9 stories, 9 meters high, double story. And I look at it and I say, from selling spares now to a builder. So then what I started doing now, I started buying property, developing. So
what got you into, so you're in spares, you've never done property before, you've never done buildings before, you've never done plans before. It sounds like you are a risk taker. So what made you get into now properties?
Well, I think the best investment today for anyone is property, not luxury cars. Property you can leave for your generations to come if you invest well. If you buy at the right price, you buy land at the right price, you buy it at the right area, at the right position, and you can get good tenants to come and live in there, and your tenants pay you every month rent. And I'm always looking out for property because I found that with property, it doesn't depreciate. You can go buy a car for 2 million, but you drive it out of the showroom and you lost 20%. But with property, the more you put into properties, and I will carry on buying properties if God allows me to, and carry on building. Yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. So in terms of everything, keeping the glue together, and what do you believe in? Like, I know people follow different things, and I know we Christian people, we go to church and things like that. But what's your philosophy in life? Because the one thing that I picked up from you is giving. Like, sometimes I see you giving till it hurts. I'm like, oh my God, how are you giving so much? But then when I see what you're getting in return, but you don't expect anything. But like, what's your main philosophy that you live by and stand by in life?
My basically is like God has given us plenty. And if there's ever somebody in need, we must be able to help them.
Yeah.
If like I know transporters, sometimes they need a truck. I come across a truck, I give it to them in easy terms, take it, build yourself up. When you're okay, pay us back. So the giving part is very, very important, because a lot of people wanted to hoard all this money and they don't want to part with things. I part with big things. I've given houses away. And so wherever you can help, you must try to be of assistance. Even my staff, I got one of my staff members that worked for me in Messina. I bought him a house in Zimbabwe, and everyone says, who does that? Who buys a house and trusts the employee to pay back the employer? I said, no, this guy here, he started off with me mixing daga. He grew up to manage my store, and I think it's time that I pay. He asked me, and I said, yes, we'll do it. And so I look at where what people put in, I make sure they get out.
Mhm.
I will not even doubt, I even cook for them. I'll even, do things for them. And I always appreciate. And if they mess up, there's always a way of disciplining them, but not publicly. Every place I got, I have an office, as, and I make sure that we sit and we discuss what
And
problem.
solutionize a way forward.
Way forward that we don't harm, because the thing is, it's very important that you don't affect people mentally, hurt them mentally, because when they leave job, they'll still leave job with that mind. And if you're too hard, they'll steal from you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so I mean, you also don't want to become like a villain. And the thing is, people can choose to work for you. And I think sometimes bosses, CEOs, directors feel like people are compelled to work for them. No one is compelled for anything. I truly feel if I want to work for you, it's my choice. If I don't want to work for you, it's also not my choice. So the truth is, you have to be kind to your staff. So the more you put in, the more you get out. And then in terms of yourself, so I know you passed your 60 years of age, and so when is the time that you're going to slow down a little bit and take a break, or does it even exist in your mindset?
I think, age is just a number. Age is just a number. I think as long as as long as I've got the passion, I don't think I'm going to slow down, because basically I enjoy what I'm doing. I do.
So without this, it's like
Like if I get up in the morning and if I'm retired, then my mind stops, my brain stops. So once my brain stops, then I'm dead. So
I mean, you're just gonna keep on keeping on.
no, but I don't put in the hours that I used to put in.
Okay, so you've downscaled a little
Yeah,
bit.
like I used to be at the office at 7:30, 8:15. I only get to the office at 10. I come home, have lunch, and then I don't go back. And then everything is done on my phone and via my emails. So with technology today, everything you can do on emails, and communicate with the branches, make sure that everyone's got stock, making sure. Our biggest priority is making all our stores have the right stock and they are well stocked.
So I also know when I come home, I always see you. It's very important to see the information you're consuming, and I always see you like listening to a little video, reading something, reading an article. What type of information or are you consuming these days, and who are you listening to? Like I wouldn't say your idols, but who's people that you kind of emulate and draw, inspiration from?
Well, I listen to a lot about Ratan Tata. Ratan Tata is one of my mentors, and I hear his story, and very, very touching stories about Ratan Tata. Because when he told his friends in India he was going to make a car, they actually laughed at him. He lost all his friends, and then he proved them wrong, and he made the first Indy car. He made it, and he's one of my inspirators. And he ended up buying Land Rover, Jaguar, and I mean he's a big giver as well. He gives a lot to charity, Another mentor of mine is obviously Steve Jobs. I mean, because remember all these guys all these people, these great successful people, they don't have college degrees.
But the innovators still in the industry.
Yeah, they innovate. Yeah. So basically, like today when I talk to a lot of people, and they say, they send the kid to school, to college for 6 years, and the kid sitting 2 years at home. People are not looking for college degrees. People are looking for people that have experience, people that are, that can come in there and shape things the same. So only experience can actually do that. So Steve Jobs is obviously my mentor as well. I mean, he's a college dropout. Bill Gates also, all these guys, they don't, even Warren Buffett speaks against college degrees. I speak about getting into the world, knowing the world, finding your dream, finding your passion. Because everyone has a purpose. And God didn't make anyone here just to come here and wander around the earth. He made them for a purpose. Unless you find that purpose, you will never find yourself.
Yeah.
You'll never find. And when you find your purpose, then you'll find your passion.
Yes.
Now that's amazing advice. But in when you introduced your world in 2022, there's so much of noise, to actually differentiate between what is good and what is bad and how to find yourself. It's hard to cement yourself into something when there's so much of noise going around. Like you'll see someone post something so silly on TikTok and all of a sudden they're overnight success and they're a millionaire, and it's taken years and years to get to this point and they do it in a week, which is a bit crazy. So my next question is, how have you adapted the business in a technology environment? Because whenever I speak to people from from Reeftain, like Anthea in the accounts department and things like that, she's like, I'm on any decks, I'm working the Messina branch, but I'm here in Johannesburg and things like that. So it shows the different technologies that you are using in the business to manage, because to drive 6 hours and 6 hours back, you can't do that every day. So I mean, how have you adapted to this new era that we're living in?
No, with technology you can do basically a lot. And that's why with technology you can see I've cut down my working hours. I rest well. And in my time my hobbies are gardening, planting, cleaning my pool.
So just really nature and chilling and taking a bit of a break.
Taking a bit of a break. Going on a holiday with mum, So, but one thing what we've done is we don't waste money. We don't hoard money, but we use money wisely. We try not to compete with anyone. We just want to be ourselves. We want to live our own lives, and we let everyone else live their lives.
And as we come to a close of it, I want to give some spotlight to my mom. You've been around, entrepreneurship your entire life. Your brother is an entrepreneur. Your husband is an entrepreneur. Your son is an entrepreneur. So I mean, being around all of these business owners and seeing what it is that we go through, because not every conversation I have with you is a positive one. Not every conversation I have with you is a negative one. But you see the yo-yo effect, of being an entrepreneur. And what advice can you give to young and up-and-coming entrepreneurs as they start their journey, as they leapfrog into this industry?
Well, every business starts off from ground level, and if you want something badly, I think you will go for it.
Yeah.
Don't give up when you think there will be days when it won't be all bright and sunny, but you have to keep going. Like with Dad and I, we had a lot of days when it was not great, but we kept going, and we knew if we just keep going at that same pace, it's going to change. Things are going to change. And it did change. So for those that are out there struggling with their new business or whatever venture they are on, just keep going. It will get better. There will be down days, but I can guarantee you, with you keep going, there will be days that you'll be proud that you just was there and just doing it.
So just starting and consistency and
just
being
be consistent.
at it.
Yeah, just be consistent. Just keep going. Don't give up when the rain, when it finds
The
more
thing that I
showers,
always say is like, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Mhm.
so you fail, so what?
Yeah.
So I mean,
You get up and try again.
you get up and you try again and you push forward, and eventually something's gonna come off.
You don't quit.
Absolutely. Dad, your last and final words to our listeners, the young entrepreneurs, business owners that want to get into this field. Again, not the field for the faint-hearted, because I mean there are days, right, where it's dark, and there are days where it's amazing. What would your last pieces of advice be for them?
First of all, they've got to be dedicated. They've got to be focused. It's like a plant. You've got to keep on putting water for the plant. The day you stop putting water for the plant dies. And then it's the people that you you surround yourself with, the company that you keep. You must watch the company that you keep, because you can keep bad company and get bad habits. So it all depends on the individual. Every individual must know that they are given one chance to live on this earth. They either make it or break it. So they mustn't follow somebody else's vision. They mustn't follow somebody else's dream. They mustn't look like if somebody is doing that, they were going to do that and they're going to do it better, because they'll fail, because it's not their dream, it's not their passion. So for young entrepreneurs, I would say that it's not easy out there. But don't create enemies. If you want to come into the business world, make more friends, make good friends. Find good people that you can work with, people that you can, communicate with, people that can help you. Don't join people that are basically time wasters, because time wasters will take it, they will sit and waste your time. Don't join people that you can see that hasn't progressed. A lot of people that want to give you advice, they're actually failures on their own. But
I think the one thing someone said to me was, don't take constructive criticism from someone who haven't constructed anything.
Yes.
Like, I mean, what are you saying?
What are you saying? Some people know everything. They think they know, but that.
They never create anything.
But they never create nothing. People talk about, a building, but they don't. But they rent it. They renting. But they talk about building a building.
So making sure you have a valuable network, a network that's also built a building, it fell down and they built it again and then they got it 100%. So take constructive criticism from people who have learned and have been there and done that.
Yes.
No, perfect. Thank you both so much for your time, for being on the show. And I am your host, Christopher Augustine. This was The Climb, and signing off.